All right. It's hard. It is, as I say at the beginning of every single one of these, it's always hard for me to know
Well,
just where we are.
sometimes maybe we
There it
don't want
is.
people to know where we are. Okay.
All right. So we are live. Right. Exactly. We're in our
Alive.
bunkers. We are alive. Nice. That was a good one, especially in this crazy heat, which, it's summer. What do you expect? I expect air conditioning.
Yes.
Welcome to the Frost Advisory. I am Mary Barbara Hanna, and the lovely
And
Ann
Frost.
Frost is not joining, we are together. And we've been working on our tagline. So, Ann, can you recall the tagline that we came up with? Like 10 minutes ago. This
Oh,
is
like take it. Okay. So the Frost Advisory, cool information and hot topics on stellar presentations. That's not right.
it's pretty close though.
Yeah. I
Cool,
didn't know there was going to be a
cool.
pop quiz.
I know. Ta-da! It's the
Damn it.
joy. It's the joy of being the trainer. All right, so this is our tagline. This is what we've come up with. Cool advice and hot topics for stellar presentations. Right? Cool advice and hot topics for stellar presentations.
There you go.
Expect to start seeing that. We're going to start flying a plane with a banner behind it. And so that's what we're here. We're here to help you get yourself organized for delivering great presentations, creating and delivering very good, excellent, stellar presentations, but also how to deal with difficult situations and people during presentations, during trainings, during workshops, whatever that might look like. That's the purpose of the Frost Advisory. We have our hidden member, Kay Jung. She's behind the scenes helping us improve our presentation skills on Facebook. So thank you to Kay Jung for that. So we'll just jump into it. Let me see. Before we jump into it, I should say next week, we're going to move on to how do you even just get started when you are assigned to put together a training, or perhaps you know that you will be giving a presentation. Where do you start getting yourself organized? Anything you want to add about that for next week, Ann?
No, not now, but I say that with an asterisk because I'm prone to have these flashes. When I'm put on the
Exactly.
spot, nothing.
I'm just priming you.
Yeah.
Like
I'll be thinking
priming the
about it.
pump.
I'll
All
have
right,
my
very
thinking.
good. All right, so that's what's coming up. And, during this time in the beginning of our Zoom sessions, our Facebook Live sessions, Ann and I chat along and we present our topic. And then we come back to Facebook Live and we'll be able to say hello to everybody tuned in and answer any questions you've got. So feel free to listen and then pop your questions into the chat box and we'll address them towards the end of our time today. Our presentations, our Facebook Live presentations are about 30 minutes, so we'll be wrapping up about 1 o'clock, just in time for you all to get back to work and or start your holiday weekend early. Right, Ann?
Yes. Cheers.
Cheers, exactly. All
I'm
right, so
sitting in my bar today, so I'm getting,
you're already there.
yeah, I want
That's
to be close to
excellent.
the source.
And we know your source is bourbon, if I
Yes, it
could say that
is.
in a professional
Yeah.
manner.
I
All right, so,
just, okay, see
you
what
keep going.
happened? You've primed it. So here we go. And this
Okay, good.
has nothing to do with training, but it'll give you some insight into me. Years ago, my husband encouraged me to drink beer. He said, you'd be a much cheaper date if you would drink beer. I said, do you want quality or quantity? I would leave the choice to you. So there
What
you
a
are.
perfect response.
So how about that for constructive feedback?
I love it. That's
I knew
very
I'd make
good.
a connection. It's just a matter of time.
That's right.
Okay.
All right, so I've hit slideshow, just waiting. Here we go. All right, so I'll give a quick review of what we've talked about thus far. And the reason Ann and I started off with leadership differentiators is as a trainer, what is going to make you the best trainer, the best presenter? We felt it was these 3 leadership differentiators. You could list a million things that is the difference between a good leader and a poor leader. But as the person giving the presentation or the person giving the training, delivering the material, it is up to you to be the leader in the room. And there's lots of ways to do that. You can be an in-your-face kind of trainer. You can be a subtle behind the scenes kind of low key trainer, whatever your style is, these three things still apply. These three elements still apply. So first we'll just talk briefly authenticity, and it's just as easy as being who you are. In our first episode, and if you haven't had a chance to watch it, you can go back and see this, but Anne gives a great example of someone that she admired who was an excellent trainer. And so when it became Anne's turn to do a training, she tried to be, was her name Trudy?
Her name is Trudy, yes.
Trudy.
Hmm.
So she wanted to be like Trudy, and but there's no way. Trudy is an individual, just her own unique self. And so the harder Anne tried to be like Trudy, the worse the training went, and the more difficult because you are judging yourself constantly. Trudy wouldn't say that. Trudy would have done this. Trudy, Trudy. Uh, and then I think it was only by lunchtime Anne realized, don't do that. Just be who
Yeah,
you are. Just
yeah.
do your thing, sister. And
And
so,
what a
yeah,
world of difference that made. Because I mean, it's too bad I don't have it. I didn't have that very first one videoed, because just the demeanor of the group when I was trying to be someone else was markedly different than the after lunch
hmm
demeanor, where I just said, you know what, I'm just going to be who I am, and not use that as a crutch, but it just helped me relax and get on with the show. And just the change in the engagement and participation, it wasn't like, they were all little stone figures, the first half, and then just dancing all around the room the second. But there was just enough of a difference in their nonverbal cues and the way they participated, just slightly enough that it's like that was sort of an affirmation for me to, yeah, just be Anne and all my glory. So
And it is glorious, folks. Let me tell you, if you've never seen Anne in action, many times I go to Anne's trainings just to see her in action, not because I have to be there, but because it is so wickedly enjoyable. You have a very dry sense of humor. She's very quick-witted, and sometimes it's one of those, throwaway comments that's so funny that if you're not paying attention, you miss the floor show, so to speak. So authenticity is really about being who you are. So as in that other episode, we also talked about a third colleague of ours who gives a much more lecture style. And he does a great job. People really enjoy his workshops. They enjoy listening to him. His style is just totally different from what Ann and I do, but it's still a worthwhile style, I guess, because he is authentic. This is truly who Paul is. This is just his style. He isn't trying to be funny. He isn't trying to, do a lot of different games and activities. That's just not his thing. But it's still a very powerful style
mhm.
that he has. So authenticity is key. And you will discover who you are as a trainer, as a presenter. The more you do it, the more you practice, you'll find out more about yourself. So that's the first differentiator. The second then is bring out the best in others. And that's not easy to do. And I think when we talked about this last week in episode 2, you can go back and give that a review. It really comes down to remembering that sometimes in trainings, people are not always their best selves. And that what you're working with are people who don't want to be there, people who are tired, people who had a flat tire on the way to work, people whatever the issues are. And so it's easy to bring out the best in others when they're on their best behavior, but it's more challenging to bring out the best in others when they aren't feeling their best selves. So how do we do that? So we spend a lot of time, and this is what Ann and I talked about last week, developing the relationship, listening deeper and more actively when people are a little cranky or giving you pushback on something. If they're challenging you on what you're saying, it isn't necessarily about you, it's about them. And they may be feeling insecure about the information you're challenging them with. They may just not understand. Whatever the reason is, and how we deal with that is to just ask more questions. Ask open-ended questions. Why do you feel that way? Can you give me some examples? I'm not
Mhm.
sure I'm understanding. What else can you tell me about this? And also being open to the fact that you might be wrong, which is something we're going to talk about today, being open to feedback. But bringing out the best in others is a lot about developing the relationship with people. And I'll just say one more thing before I turn it to you, Anne, for your anything else you'd like to add
Mhm.
here. Sometimes you're in long-term relationships with these people. Anne and I are involved in an 18-month training with a group at this moment. but sometimes we just do 2 hours and that's it. You never see these people again. But that doesn't lessen the importance of developing the relationship. It only says that you have a limited amount of time to develop that relationship. And remembering that, I think one thing to remember as a trainer is there's lots of people giving information and teaching people all these different things. You might just be one of many people, but you're still trying to leave that positive feeling after the training is over. So, so that the next trainer who gets these people isn't stuck with what a bad time they had in your class, and now you've passed them on to the next person, and now these people really don't like training. So developing the relationship is just about creating in our attendees that desire to learn and enjoy that moment. So anyway, I'll leave it at that. And then, Ann, what would you, anything about authenticity or?
Well, the one thing I wanted to mention about, flip over to the,
Oh, sure.
I got the best in others, was as you were describing or sharing, reminding folks what we talked about last week, was something I actually learned from you when you.
What not to do.
No. This is a really good what to do, and it made a world of difference. I have a tendency or a habit, or I enjoy like not putting people on the spot,
Somehow
but
you
just.
cut out, Ann. I'm not sure.
Oh.
For some reason, I cannot hear you. We have a little glitch.
Uh-oh. But I was talking
I
with my
muted you.
hand.
Yeah, unmute. Are you muted? I'm sorry, folks. Hang on while we deal with our technical difficulty here.
How about that?
Okay.
Can you hear me
Try
now?
again, Ian. Oh,
Can you hear me? Should I talk with
weird.
my
Yeah,
hands?
nothing.
Uh-oh.
So folks, hang on one second. Ian, you can hear me.
Yes.
Yes, you can hear me. Okay. So I'm not sure. Let me stop sharing. And Ian, can I have you exit out and come back in and we'll see if
Okay.
that helps? All right. So this is real. This is what really happens, right? When you're a presenter and you're doing something and you have technical difficulties, first, remain calm. It happens to everybody. Second of all, try to fix it. Hopefully this is going to work. We'll admit my friend in. It says you're connecting to audio, so let's give you a second. All right.
How's that?
No, I cannot hear you. I have no
Uh-oh.
idea. I wonder if other people can hear you. Well, so Anne, while you're sitting there silently, I was saying to the
Oh
group, exactly. I was saying to the group, this is what happens when you're presenters and technology goes bad.
no.
And
Yeah.
how do you remain calm and try to fix the situation and keep going at the same time and keep your audience engaged? Everybody deals with this, right? We all have moments where you're just like everything just went kaflooey. So as a trainer, because Anne is such an integral part of our presentation, I'm not sure how to get your audio back, and this is when we need technical help. The only thing I can think is to end the live presentation and disconnect and try for both of us to come back in. What do you think, Ian? We have a chat box. You could type in the chat box if you agree with that, or do you have any other
Chat box. Okay.
ideas? So folks, hang on, because she's going to chat with me in the chat box, and hopefully I'm going to look over here on our Frost. See if anybody's posted. So if you're listening and you've had any experience with the sound going out suddenly, it would be great if you could post something to us in the chat box. All right, so we don't have any comments from anybody telling us what to do. Let me come back over to Anne, and she says, I'm good with either leaving and coming back in, or you can finish using notes in the PowerPoint. I can do that. I will say it's It's so great to have your voice. Okay, so I shouldn't dither. I should just make a decision. Let's end the meeting
Okay.
and try to both come back in.
Okay.
All right, so I'll end this and then we'll come back in.